And so here's the story I want to tell you about. This is going to be a story that goes from 1935 to the present. That's going to be the timeline, 1935 to 1916. And the first thing I want you to lock into your brain about this, because I'm not doing a fancy PowerPoint, is that I will act out the PowerPoint. It'll be like interpretive dance. Right? I can do this. I can so do this, right? Watch me do a graph. Right? Anyway, so here's the first fact I want you to lock in your mind. 1935 to 2016, basically, with few exceptions, GDP, how rich we're getting, how much we're producing, kind of goes up every year. It's just a nice, steady line up, right? That's going to be the first part, 1935 to 2016. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this story into two time periods, and I'll break it at 1980. Not everything's perfect around that time, but it'll give us an idea of how to work with it. Okay, so 1935 to 1980, what happens in America? And the answer is, what happens in America is we work on how to build opportunity. How to build opportunity. And you know how we do it? We do it with two principal tools. The first one, cover the children's ears, because it's a nasty word, is we regulate. We do things like we enforce antitrust regulations, so big guys don't get to roll over little businesses before they can get started. We put a cop on the beat on Wall Street, right, to try to keep it level out there. Whoa. We regulate the biggest financial institutions, right? You want to be a bank? There's going to be some regulation around that. Made it safe to put money in but banks became regulated businesses. Okay, so part one is we regulate, and part two, progressive taxation. We taxed those at the top, and we use that money to invest in building opportunities, more opportunities. How do we do it? We invested in education, big time. GI Bill to thank returning soldiers from World War II. We invested in public education, K through 12. We invested in state universities. Why do we make all these investments in education? Because we believe that if you got an education, you could do anything. That was God, we believed that. We invested in infrastructure. Roads, national highway transportation system, bridges, power to rural America. Why? Because we didn't know what the next great business would be, but we were pretty darn sure you'd need electricity, right? And pretty darn sure you'd need roads so that you could get your goods to market, so that your workers could get to you. So we made those investments together so those good businesses could grow here in America, and those good jobs could grow here in America. And the third thing we did, God, this is what made us such a remarkable people. We invested in research. We put money into medical research and scientific research and engineering research and behavioral sciences research, all kinds of research. Why? Because we believed in the future. We didn't even know what that research was going to produce. We didn't know, but we believed that if we built this giant pipeline of ideas, that things would come from that would permit our children and grandchildren to live lives that we had never even dreamed of. So we made those investments, and here's the deal. It worked. I mean, it worked. It still gives me goosebumps how much it worked. I'll tell you how much it worked. It worked so much that the 90% of America, everybody outside the top 10%, the upper middle class, the working poor, and the poor, together got 70% of all the income growth in that time period. Okay, the rich did better, I get it. But 70%, and here's the thing, when you really scratch through the data, it's all the way. It's every decile, all the way. Everybody did better. The pie got bigger and everybody got more to eat. Now look, we weren't perfect, not by any stretch. The black-white wealth gap was there from the first time we measured, with African Americans held firmly at the bottom. But here was the deal. America was so committed just to the basic notion of opportunity that we made changes. And in the civil rights era, in the 1960s and 1970s, the black-white wealth gap shrank by 30% in about a 15-year period. So we weren't there, not by any stretch, but we were on a road. And then we hit 1980. Ronald Reagan, trickle-down economics, deregulate, turn the banks loose to do whatever they want to do, stop enforcing or slow down on enforcing the antitrust laws. Oh, and that stuff about taxes. Cut taxes for those at the top. And when you cut taxes for those at the top, all those investments in education, in infrastructure, in basic research start shrinking up. And that is exactly what we did. And here's the deal. GDP keeps going right on up, goes up across both time periods. GDP keeps going up. So how did the 90% do? From 1980 to 2016, the answer is the 90%, everybody outside the top 10%, got nothing. None of the new income growth. Zip. Nearly 100% of the new income growth in America from 1980 to 2016 has gone to the top 10% in this country. Think about that. And the black-white wealth gap in that period of time has tripled. Yeah, that's what trickle-down has done for African American families. And look, there are people who will readily point out, whoa, but there's a whole lot more food stamps than there used to be. Yeah, and more rent subsidies, true. But this is about people who want a chance to earn a living. People who want to be able to build something for themselves. People who want to be able to get out there and work and have some security and be able to build for themselves and for their kids. And that part is just gone. And now here comes the real twist of the knife. It didn't have to happen. It didn't happen that the middle class started doing really, really badly and working families across the spectrum started doing really badly, because of gravity. That damn gravity will get you every time, It's like you go up, but then you gotta come back down, Nope, no. Country keeps getting richer. And it didn't happen because of technology, and it didn't happen because of competition internationally. You gotta keep your eye on that very first stat. We're getting richer. Richer. The difference is what's happening, who's getting to participate in the richness. No, the story I tell in this book about what happened, why it changes between time one and time two, is basically that a bunch of billionaires and corporate CEOs decided to invest billions of dollars in making sure that Washington worked well for them. They made that investment and it paid off.